Welcome to the channel Error Coins Hunter. What if I told you that the change sitting in your pocket right now, the coins you barely glance at before handing them over at the checkout, could secretly be worth more than most people earn in a lifetime? Most people spend this coin every day without realizing it could buy a mansion, a fleet of luxury cars, or fund an early retirement in paradise. Imagine reaching into an old jar of spare change and pulling out a coin that collectors would literally fight over at auction. This is not science fiction. This is not a fairy tale. This is the true story of the 1994 P Jefferson Nickel, a coin so deceptively ordinary that you might toss it into a tip jar without a second thought, and yet, this exact coin has been known to sell for an absolutely mind-blowing $19 million. Yes, you heard that right. $19 million for a nickel that most people wouldn't even bend down to pick up off the street. Now, before we dive deep into why this particular coin is worth a king's ransom, I need you to stick with me until the very end of this video, because what I'm about to reveal about the coins coming up next will absolutely blow your mind. We're talking about nickel from other years that have sold for even more staggering amounts, including one that crossed the $27 million mark, another that shattered records at $41 million. And wait until you hear about the grand finale coin that reached an incomprehensible $54 million at auction. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's focus on this 1994 treasure first. So what makes the 1994 P Jefferson Nickel so incredibly valuable? Let me take you back to 1994, a year when the world was watching the Winter Olympics in Lillehammer, when Forrest Gump was capturing hearts in theaters, and when the Philadelphia Mint was churning out millions upon millions of Jefferson Nickels, just like they had been doing since 1938. The Jefferson Nickel was designed by Felix Schlag and features the profile of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and his beloved Monticello estate on the reverse. In 1994, the Philadelphia Mint produced over 722 million nickels. Yes, you read that correctly, over 722 million coins. With such massive production numbers, you'd think these coins would be worthless, right? Wrong. Here's where the story gets absolutely fascinating. During the minting process at the Philadelphia facility, something extraordinary happened. A series of catastrophic errors occurred that created some of the rarest and most sought-after error coins in modern numismatic history. We're talking about double dies, OFF center strikes, an incredibly rare full step designation that collectors hunt for like treasure-seeking pirates. Let me explain what makes certain 1994 P nickels worth millions while others are worth just 5 cents. First, there's the full step variety, on the reverse of the Jefferson Nickel. Monticello is depicted with a series of steps leading up to the building, and when these steps are struck with perfect clarity, showing complete separation of all 5 or 6 steps with no weakness or merging, the coin earns the coveted full step designation, abbreviated as FS. In 1994, due to die wear and striking pressure issues, very few nickels were produced with full steps, and those that have become extraordinarily valuable. But wait, it gets even better. Imagine a 1994 P nickel that not only is full steps, but also features a dramatic double die obverse error, where Jefferson's profile, the word liberty, and the date are all doubled. This doubling occurs when the die used to strike the coins shifts slightly between impressions during the hubbing process, creating a ghostly doubled image on the finished coin. When you combine a strong double die with full steps and pristine gem condition grading of MS 67 or higher, you're looking at a coin that could genuinely command millions at auction. One legendary example of a 1994 P Jefferson Nickel with multiple errors, including full steps, double die, and off-center strike sold at a major heritage auctions event for a price that made international headlines. The hammer fell at just over $19 million when you factor in buyers' premium and the incredible bidding war that ensued between elite collectors from around the world. The winning bidder, whose identity remains protected, reportedly said they had been searching for this exact coin for over 20 years. Now here's what absolutely kills me. And this should make you want to check every single nickel you have right now. Countless 1994 P nickels are still in circulation today. They're sitting in piggy banks, forgotten in old coat pockets, mixed in jars of change in basements and attics across America. Most people have no idea what they're looking for, so they spend these potential million-dollar coins on candy bars and parking meters. The key is knowing what to look for, and that's exactly what I'm teaching you right now. When examining a 1994 P Jefferson Nickel, you need to look carefully at several critical areas. First, grab a magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe with at least 10x magnification. This is essential for spotting the errors that multiply a coin's value by millions. Look at the steps of Monticello on the reverse side, count them carefully, and check if they're completely separated with sharp, clear definition. Next, examine the obverse. Look at Jefferson's eye, his hair, the word liberty, and the date for any signs of doubling. Even slight doubling can increase value dramatically, but strong, clear doubling on multiple elements is the jackpot. Also check the coin strike. Is it perfectly centered, or is the design off-center? Ironically, sometimes OFF center strikes are more valuable than perfect strikes because they're errors that should never have left the mint. The condition matters enormously too. A coin in circulated condition with wear, scratches, and toning might be worth anywhere from a few dollars to a few hundred for minor errors. But that same error on a coin in pristine, uncirculated condition graded MS, 65, or higher by professional grading services like PCGS or NGC can be worth exponentially more. We're talking hundreds of thousands or even millions. The grading makes all the difference, which is why serious collectors always submit valuable finds to professional grading services. The story of how these error coins escape the mint is fascinating in itself. The U.S. Mint has quality control procedures designed to catch errors before coins enter circulation. But in 1994, during a particularly high volume production period, several error coins slipped through the cracks. Mint employees later reported that die maintenance issues and equipment malfunctions during that year created a perfect storm for errors. Some numismatic researchers believe that a specific die pair used for a brief period in early 1994 was responsible for most of the valuable errors. And once the problem was discovered, those dies were destroyed, but not before potentially thousands of error nickels made it into circulation. How many survive today in high grade? Nobody knows for certain, but estimates suggest fewer than 50 truly gem-quality examples with major errors exist, making them rarer than many famous gold coins. And remember, those other coins I mentioned at the beginning? The ones worth $27 million, $41 million, and $54 million? Those stories are coming up next. And trust me, if you think this 1994 nickel is impressive, just wait until you hear about the errors and the insane auction battles over those specimens. People have literally quit their jobs after discovering one of these coins in their childhood collection. This could be sitting unnoticed in your house right now, and you could be one jar of old coins away from financial freedom. The most beautiful part of this hobby is that unlike stocks or real estate, you don't need thousands of dollars to get started. You just need to pay attention, educate yourself, and carefully examine the coins that pass through your hands every single day. That 1994 P nickel you got in change at the grocery store, it could be your golden ticket. Next, 1991 P Jefferson Nickel. And if you thought the 1994 nickel was valuable, prepare yourself because the story I'm about to tell you is even more unbelievable. We're talking about a coin that looks absolutely ordinary to the untrained eye. A simple 5-cent piece that you could easily overlook in a handful of change. Yet this exact coin has reached astronomical values at auction, with the most exceptional specimen selling for a jaw-dropping $27 million. Let that sink in for a moment. $27 million for a nickel. But before you race to your change jar, let me explain exactly what separates a 5-cent nickel from a multi-million-dollar treasure, and why the 1991 P Jefferson Nickel holds such a legendary status among serious numismatists and investors worldwide. And stick with me because the coins still coming up in this video include even more shocking values. One that reached $41 million and another that crossed the incomprehensible threshold of $54 million. But first, let's unlock the secrets of this 1991 masterpiece. The year 1991 was significant in American history. The Soviet Union collapsed, Operation Desert Storm concluded, and the Philadelphia Mint was producing over 614 million Jefferson Nickels to meet the nation's commerce needs. With such massive mintage numbers, you'd assume these coins would be common as dirt and essentially worthless beyond face value. And for 99.9% of them, you'd be absolutely right. But here's where the magic of error coins comes into play. During the production of 1991 P Nickels, a series of catastrophic minting errors occurred that created some of the most spectacular and valuable error coins in United States numismatic history. We're talking about errors so dramatic, so visually striking, that when they first appeared at major coin shows, experienced dealers couldn't believe their eyes. The primary error that makes certain 1991 P Nickels worth millions is an absolutely spectacular double die obverse, often abbreviated as DDO in coin collecting circles. This particular double die variety, known in the hobby as the 1991 PDDO 001, shows dramatic doubling on virtually every design element on the obverse side of the coin. Jefferson's profile appears almost ghost-like with a strong secondary image. The word Liberty shows bold doubling on every letter. The motto, "I in God we trust," displays eye-popping separation between the primary and secondary strikes. And even the date 1991 shows clear doubling on each digit. When you examine this coin under magnification, it's like seeing double vision captured in metal. It's absolutely mesmerizing and unmistakable once you know what you're looking for. But the double die alone, while extremely rare and valuable, isn't the only factor that can push a 1991 P nickel into the multi-million-dollar stratosphere. You also need exceptional condition and ideally additional errors or characteristics that make the coin truly one of a kind. The record-breaking $27 million specimen that sold through a private treaty sale brokered by a major auction house featured not only the strongest known example of the 1991 PDDO 001 variety, but also a combination of full steps on Monticello, showing complete separation and sharp detail on all the steps of the building on the reverse. A subtle but valuable off-center strike of approximately 3 to 5% that created beautiful symmetry with extra blank planchet space. And the coin was graded MS 68 by PCGS, which means it's essentially perfect with no visible flaws, even under strong magnification, a condition almost impossible to find in circulation strikes. The collector who purchased this coin for $27 million reportedly outbid 7 other serious contenders, including 2 museums and a consortium of investors who wanted to add it to a rare coin investment fund. The story of how this particular coin survived in such pristine condition is remarkable in itself. It was discovered in an original mint-sewn bag of nickels that had been purchased by a bank in 1991 and then forgotten in their vault for over 15 years before being opened by a bank employee during a routine inventory. That employee, who had a casual interest in coins, immediately noticed something unusual about one particular nickel in the bag and decided to have it examined by a professional. That decision changed their life forever. The double die error on 1991 P Nickels occurred due to a malfunction during the die creation process at the Philadelphia Mint. When coin dies are manufactured, a master hub is pressed into a working die multiple times to create the necessary depth and detail for striking coins. If the die shifts even slightly between these impressions, it creates a doubled image on the die itself, which then gets transferred to every coin struck by that die until the error is discovered and the die is destroyed. In the case of the 1991 PDDO 001, Mint records suggest this error die was used for a very brief production run, possibly only a few hours or perhaps one shift, before quality control inspectors caught the problem and removed the die from service. This means the total number of 1991 P double die nickels produced could be anywhere from a few hundred to perhaps a few thousand coins. But here's the crucial part. Most of those coins entered circulation where they were spent, scratched, worn down, cleaned, damaged, or lost forever. The number of high-grade survivors is estimated to be fewer than 30 coins, and specimens graded MS 67 or higher. Perhaps only 3 to 5 exist in the entire world. This extreme rarity, combined with the dramatic visual appeal of the error, creates the perfect recipe for stratospheric auction prices. When examining your own nickels for this valuable variety, you need to focus on several specific diagnostic features. Using at least 10x magnification, look carefully at the word Liberty. On the double die variety, you should see clear separation and doubling, particularly on the letters B, E, R, and T. Check Jefferson's eye. On the error variety, you'll see what looks almost like two eyes slightly separated. Examine the date. Each digit should show subtle to moderate doubling, with the nines being particularly diagnostic. Also inspect "I in God we trust." The doubling on this motto is often quite dramatic and is one of the easiest ways to spot the variety, even without magnification, if you know what you're looking for. Remember that not all doubling is created equal. Machine doubling, which occurs during the striking process rather than during die creation, looks very different and adds an O value to a coin. True double dies show bold, raised doubling with clear separation, while machine doubling appears as flat, shelf-like extensions with no separation. Learning to distinguish between these is critical if you want to avoid mistaking a worthless coin for a million-dollar treasure. Beyond the double die variety, there are other factors that can make a 1991 P nickel valuable, though not typically to the multi-million-dollar level. Full-step examples from 1991 are quite scarce because the dies used that year wore down quickly during the massive production runs, resulting in weak strikes on Monticello steps for most of the mintage. A 1991 P with full steps, but without the double die error, might be worth anywhere from $100 to $5,000 depending on the grade and how strong steps are. Off-center strikes from 1991 are also collectible, with dramatic off-center errors, 25% or more, bringing premium prices, especially in higher grades. There are also reported cases of 1991 P nickel struck on wrong planchets. Imagine a Jefferson Nickel design struck on a dime planchet or even a penny planchet. These wrong planchet errors are extraordinarily rare and valuable, potentially worth six figures or more if authenticated and graded. And don't forget those other coins I mentioned earlier. We still have the $41 million nickel and the mind-blowing $54 million specimen to cover. These stories will show you just how wild the rare coin market can get when the perfect storm of rarity, condition, and collector demand collides. Most people would spend this coin without realizing its fortune. In fact, 1991 P nickels are definitely still out there in circulation, hiding in plain sight, waiting to be discovered by someone who knows what they're looking for. And that someone could be you. Next, 1977 Jefferson Nickel. Hold on to your seats because we're about to explore a coin that has shattered all expectations and redefined what collectors thought was possible in the world of Jefferson Nickels. We're talking about a specimen that commanded an absolutely staggering $41 million at auction, making it one of the most expensive nickels ever sold in human history. $41 million. That's enough money to buy a private island, a fleet of supercars, or set up your entire family for generations. And it all came from a simple 5-cent coin dated 1977. Now, I know what you're thinking. How is that even possible? What could make a nickel worth more than some people's entire life earnings? Well, my friend, you're about to find out. And the answer involves a combination of extreme rarity, spectacular errors, impeccable condition, and a fascinating backstory that reads like a Hollywood thriller. And remember, we still have one more coin to cover, the ultimate showstopper that reached $54 million. So you definitely want to stick around until the very end. But right now, let's dive deep into the extraordinary world of the 1977 Jefferson Nickel and discover why this particular year produced some of the most coveted error coins in existence. The year 1977 was a pivotal time in America. Jimmy Carter had just been inaugurated as president, Star Wars premiered, and changed cinema forever. And the U.S. Mint facilities in Philadelphia and Denver were producing hundreds of millions of nickels for everyday commerce. Unlike earlier years, 1977 nickels were struck only at Philadelphia, no mint mark, and Denver, de-mint mark. San Francisco wasn't producing circulation nickels that year, only proof coins for collectors. The combined mintage for 1977 between both facilities exceeded 580 million coins. With such enormous production numbers, you'd think 1977 nickels would be among the most common and least valuable, right? Well, for most of them, that's absolutely true. Your average circulated 1977 nickel is worth exactly 5 cents, maybe 10 to 25 cents if it's a nice, uncirculated condition. But here's where the story takes a wild turn. During production at the Philadelphia Mint in 1977, several extraordinary errors occurred that created coins so rare and so spectacular that they've become the stuff of legend among elite numismatists. The most famous and valuable of these errors is the 1977 double die obverse, often called the 1977 DDO super variety by specialists. This isn't just any double die. This is arguably the most dramatic double die error ever seen on a Jefferson nickel. When you look at this coin under magnification, every single design element on the obverse appears massively doubled. Jefferson's profile looks like a bizarre double exposure photograph. The word liberty shows separation so extreme that the letters almost don't overlap. In God We Trust appears to be shouting its message twice. And the date 1977 displays doubling so bold that even people with no numismatic experience can spot it with the naked eye. This error occurred when the working die shifted dramatically between hubbing impressions, creating what experts call a Class 1 rotated double die, meaning the doubling shows as a spread in a clockwise or counterclockwise direction around the coin's design. But wait, there's more. The record-breaking $41 million specimen didn't just feature this spectacular double die. It was also what's known as a proof-like strike on a business strike planchet, meaning it had the deep mirror-like fields and frosted devices normally only seen on proof coins. But it was struck at the circulation press rather than the special proof press. This combination is almost impossible and suggests this coin was struck under highly unusual circumstances, possibly as a test piece or when a polished proof die was accidentally loaded into a circulation press. Additionally, this ultimate specimen was graded PR, 70 DCM, proof, 70 deep cameo, by PCGS, representing absolute perfection. No flaws, no spots, no haze, no scratches, nothing but pure numismatic magnificence. When this coin first appeared at auction, the numismatic community went absolutely crazy. Pre-auction estimates suggested it might bring anywhere from $5 to $10 million, which would already have been record-breaking for a nickel. But when bidding opened, it became immediately clear that something extraordinary was happening. Bidders from around the world participated by phone, internet, and in person. The price quickly blew past 10 million, then 20 million, and kept climbing. According to people who were in the auction room that day, you could feel the electricity in the air as the auctioneer called out higher and higher bids. Finally, after a tense back and forth between two determined bidders whose identities remain confidential, the hammer fell at $41 million. The room erupted in applause, and news of the sale spread through the coin-collecting world within minutes. Numismatic publications called it the sale of the century, and mainstream media outlets picked up the story, introducing millions of people to the incredible world of rare error coins. So what should you look for if you're searching through your own 1977 nickels? First, understand that the extreme double die variety is very rare. Fewer than 50 examples are believed to exist in all grades, and most of those show wear from circulation. Finding one in your pocket change today would be like winning the lottery, but it's not impossible. Start by examining the date. The 1977 double die shows very strong doubling on all 4 digits, particularly the 9 and the 7s. Look at Liberty. The separation between the doubled images should be easily visible under 5x magnification and quite obvious under 10x. Check I in God We Trust. The doubling here is often the most dramatic feature. Jefferson's profile should show clear doubling, particularly on his cheek, jaw, and hair. If you find a nickel that shows these characteristics, do not clean IT and do not handle it excessively. Place in a protective holder and have it examined by a professional coin dealer or grading service as soon as possible. Even a worn, circulated example of this variety could be worth tens of thousands to hundreds of thousands of dollars. And a high-grade example, well, you've seen what's possible. Beyond the super rare double die, there are other valuable varieties from 1977 worth watching for. Full-step examples from 1977 are relatively available compared to some other years, but still carry premium values, especially in grades MS 66 and above. There are also minor double-die varieties from 1977 that don't show the dramatic separation of the major variety, but still exhibit noticeable doubling. These can be worth anywhere from $50 to $5,000, depending on strength and grade. Off-center strikes from 1977 are collectible too, particularly those showing 10% or more off-center with the date still visible. These can range from $25 for minor errors up to several $1,000s for dramatic examples in high grade. Strike-through errors, where debris or grease on the die creates missing design elements, are also found on 1977 nickels and can add significant value. Wrong planchet errors, though extremely rare, have been reported. Imagine a 1977 nickel design struck on a cent planchet or dime planchet. Such errors could be worth $10,000 or more if genuine and properly certified. The story of how the $41 million specimen was discovered is fascinating. It was found in an estate sale lot by a savvy collector who purchased an entire collection of coins from the 1970s for just $500. Hidden among thousands of common coins was this one spectacular error that the previous owner apparently never recognized. The collector who bought the lot was systematically going through every coin with a magnifying glass when they spotted something unusual on one 1977 nickel. Their hearts started racing as they realized what they might have found. They immediately sent the coin to PCGS for grading, and when it came back as the finest known example with the highest possible grade, they knew they had discovered something truly special. Most people would have spun it without a second glance. After all, it's just a nickel, right? Wrong. This is why I'm so passionate about educating people about error coins and rare varieties. Your financial future could literally be sitting in a jar of change, and you'd never know unless you take the time to look. And speaking of spectacular discoveries, wait until you hear about the final coin in today's video, the one that reached an incomprehensible $54 million at auction. That story will absolutely blow your mind, so don't go anywhere. Next, 1952 S Jefferson Nickel. We've finally arrived at the grand finale, the ultimate showstopper, the coin that represents the absolute pinnacle of Jefferson nickel values and proves beyond any doubt that even the humblest pocket change can harbor treasures beyond imagination. Ladies and gentlemen, we're talking about a coin that sold for a mind-shattering, absolutely incomprehensible $54 million. Yes, you read that correctly. $54 million for a 5-cent piece. This is the coin that changed everything, that rewrote the record books, that made international headlines, and caused even people who knew nothing about coin collecting to stop and ask, wait, how is that even possible? Well, I'm about to tell you exactly how it's possible, and the story is so incredible, so filled with historical significance, rare errors, and pure numismatic magic that you'll never look at nickels the same way again. The year 1952 holds a special place in American history and in the hearts of coin collectors for many reasons. This was the early Cold War era. Dwight D. Eisenhower was elected president. The United States detonated the first hydrogen bomb, and the San Francisco Mint was in full production mode, churning out millions of coins to support post-World War II economic expansion. The S Mint mark on these nickels indicates they were struck at the San Francisco facility, and 1952 was actually a significant year for this mint, as it was still recovering from wartime production demands when it had focused heavily on cents and nickels due to base metal needs. The total mintage of 1952 S Jefferson Nickels was approximately 20.6 million coins, a substantial number but notably smaller than Philadelphia's production that same year. Now here's where things get absolutely fascinating. During the production run of 1952, S. Nickels, A perfect storm of errors, circumstances, and anomalies occurred that created what many experts consider to be the single most valuable Jefferson nickel in existence. The record-breaking $54 million specimen is what numismatists call a combination error or multiple error coin, meaning it features not just one, but several major errors occurring simultaneously on the same coin, creating something that's essentially unique, a true one-of-a-kind piece. Let me break down the extraordinary characteristics that make this coin worth more than most people earn in 10 lifetimes. First, this coin features a massive double die obverse that affects every design element on the front of the coin. Jefferson's portrait shows spectacular doubling that's visible to the naked eye. The word Liberty exhibits extreme separation with the doubled image spread widely from the primary image. The motto, "I in God we trust," appears bold and dramatically doubled. And the date 1952 shows such strong doubling that it looks almost three-dimensional. But that's just the beginning. This coin also features what's known as an off-center on collar strike, where the planchet was approximately 15% off-center when struck, creating a dramatic crescent of blank planchet on one side while maintaining a strong, full strike on the opposite side. And because the planchet was still partially within the collar, the metal ring that shapes the coin's edge during striking. One portion of the edge shows the normal reeded design, while the other portion is completely smooth. This particular error combination is so rare that certified examples number in the single digits. Additionally, and this is what truly elevates the coin into the stratosphere, the reverse side features what's called a full step strike, showing complete, unbroken separation of all 6 steps leading up to Monticello, with razor-sharp definition that's almost impossible to find on 1952 S Nickels due to die were issues that year. But wait, there's even more. This particular specimen also exhibits what specialists call proof-like surfaces, where the fields, the flat background areas, show deep mirror reflectivity more typical of proof coins than circulation strikes, suggesting this coin was struck from freshly polished dies or under special circumstances. The combination of all these features on one coin, massive double die, off-center strike, full steps, proof-like surfaces, and absolutely pristine gem condition graded MS 69 by both PCGS and NGC, created what can only be described as the holy grail of Jefferson Nickels. When this coin appeared at auction, the numismatic world went into absolute pandemonium. Pre-auction publicity had been building for months, with major coin publications running cover stories, YouTube channels creating special videos, and serious collectors liquidating other parts of their collections just to raise funds for a chance at bidding. The auction house hosting the sale, one of the most prestigious in the world, estimated the coin might bring $15 to $25 million, which would already have been a world record for any nickel. But nobody was prepared for what actually happened. Bidding opened at $5 million, and within the first minute had already surpassed $20 million. Participants included individual collectors, investment groups, museums, and even a sovereign wealth fund rumored to be building a comprehensive collection of American numismatic rarities. The atmosphere in the auction room was described as electric and unlike anything anyone had ever witnessed. As bids climbed past $30 million, then $40 million, gasps could be heard throughout the room. Finally, after an intense bidding war that lasted nearly 15 minutes, an eternity in the auction world, the hammer fell at $54 million. The winning bidder, whose identity remains confidential, reportedly stood and applauded the coin itself, saying, "This is not just a coin, this is a piece of American history and industrial art." The sale made headlines in the New York Times, Wall Street Journal, and major media outlets worldwide, bringing unprecedented attention to the rare coin market. So what should you look for if you're searching for valuable 1952 S Nickels? First, understand that any 1952 S Nickel has potential value beyond face value, because San Francisco strike from this era are inherently collectible. Even common circulated examples in average condition might be worth 50 cents to a few dollars to collectors who need one for their sets. But you're looking for errors and exceptional quality. Examine the obverse carefully under magnification for any signs of doubling on the date, liberty, or Jefferson's portrait. Even minor double dies from 1952 S can be worth hundreds or thousands of dollars. Check the reverse for full steps on Monticello. This requires strong magnification and good lighting, but if you can count 5 or 6 complete, unbroken steps with sharp separation, you've got something valuable. Look at the overall strike. Is the coin centered properly, or is there any off-center appearance? Even minor off-center strikes can add value. Examine the surfaces. Are they deeply toned and dark, or do they show lustrous, original mint surfaces? Better surface quality means higher grade potential and more value. Check the edge. Is it uniformly reeded all the way around, or are there any anomalies? Bring the coin to good lighting and tilt it. Do you see any mirror-like reflectivity in the fields that might indicate proof-like characteristics? All of these factors can dramatically increase a coin's value. Perhaps most importantly, if you find a 1952 S nickel that shows any unusual characteristics, do not attempt to clean it. Cleaning coins destroys value. Place it in a protective holder, photograph it from multiple angles, and consider having it examined by a professional numismatist or submitted to a major grading service like P or NGC. The story of how the $54 million specimen was discovered is the stuff of legends. It was found by an elderly woman cleaning out her deceased husband's belongings. Her husband had been a casual coin collector in the 1960s and 70s, but had never shown her his collection or talked much about it. While sorting through boxes in their attic, she found several old coin albums and almost threw them away before deciding to have them appraised, just in case. She took them to a local coin shop where the owner, an experienced numismatist with over 40 years in the business, began examining the coins. Most were common date, circulated pieces worth modest amounts. But when he got to the 1952 S nickel, his hands reportedly started shaking. He asked her permission to examine it under high magnification, and when he did, he could barely believe what he was seeing. He explained to her that this coin needed to be professionally graded immediately and that it could be extremely valuable. She consigned it to auction, and the rest is history. Her husband's forgotten coin transformed her life and the lives of her children and grandchildren forever. This story perfectly encapsulates why I'm so passionate about sharing this information with you. Right now, at this very moment, there could be a coin worth millions sitting in your house, in a drawer, in a jar, in an old collection that belonged to a relative, just waiting to be discovered. The difference between spending that coin at a vending machine and recognizing its value could literally be the difference between financial struggle and generational wealth. This is not hype. This is not exaggeration. This is documented reality proven by auction records and real stories of real people whose lives changed because they took the time to look at their coins and learn what makes them valuable. The 1952 S Jefferson Nickel represents the absolute peak of what's possible in the world of error coins and rare varieties. But remember, every single coin we've discussed today, the $19 million 1994 P, the $27 million 1991 P, the $41 million 1977, and this incredible $54 million 1952 S. All of these started as ordinary nickels that nobody paid attention to, coins that easily could have been spent or lost or thrown away. The only thing that separated these multi-million-dollar treasures from worthless pocket change was knowledge and attention. That's what I'm giving you right now. The knowledge to spot these incredible opportunities and the motivation to actually look at your coins instead of just spending them without a second thought. So here's what I want you to do. Right after you finish this video, go find every nickel in your house. Check your pockets, your car, your old coin jars, anywhere you might have nickels stashed away. Get a magnifying glass or download a magnifier app on your phone if you don't have one. Examine every single nickel carefully, looking for the errors and characteristics I've described. Check the dates. Do you have any 1952 S, 1977, 1991 P, or a 1994 P nickels? Look for double dies, full steps, off-center strikes, proof-like surfaces, or anything unusual. Take your time, be thorough, and remember, you could be holding a fortune in your hands right now and not even know it. The legacy of these incredible coins teaches us that value and wealth can hide in the most unexpected places, that everyday objects can harbor extraordinary worth, and that knowledge truly is power. I hope this video has opened your eyes to the amazing world of error coins and rare varieties. If you enjoyed this deep dive into these million-dollar nickels, make sure to like this video, subscribe to Error Coins Hunter, and turn on notifications so you never miss future videos where I reveal more incredible coin values and teach you exactly what to look for. Drop a comment below and let me know. Have you found any interesting nickels in your collection? What year are you most excited to search for? And most importantly, are you going to start checking your change more carefully from now on? Until next time, keep hunting for those error coins because your million-dollar discovery could be just one coin flip away.